Hi guys, and welcome back to my Evilness podcast or to my Evilness channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. Disclaimer, I mean absolutely no harm to anyone who may be mentioned in today's podcast or video. It is all just information that I have compiled via the internet and news articles and put together to tell you about today's case, which today we will be talking about the true crime case of Garry Ryan. Garry Ryan was born on the 31st of January 1992. She lived in Stirling, South Australia with her mother, Sonia Ryan. Garry and her mother had a close relationship. In 2006, at 14, Garry was a kind-hearted, friendly teen, and although she was into the popular emo culture and had online accounts on social media sites like MySpace and vampirefreaks.com, MySpace was one of the first social media sites launched in August of 2003, and in its early days was one of the most frequented websites in the world. Back in the early 2000s, it was common to accept friend requests from strangers and talk to them. Some people even met in real life. MySpace was different to other popular chat sites as users had photos and shared life's memories. It kind of felt safer. Garry's friends had been talking to a boy who went by the username Corrupt Koala. They introduced Garry to this boy whose name was Brandon Kane, an 18-year-old Texas-born musician who lived in Melbourne, Victoria. Brandon and Garry became fast friends online. They had similar interests and the same taste in music. Brandon told Garry he played guitar and lived with his adopted father named Shane. He said he often travelled to the US. After some time, the online friendship grew into an online romance. Brandon would tell Garry how beautiful she was and how much he cared for her. Garry genuinely believed that they were in love and that she had met her soulmate. They frequently spoke about a future together and the day that they would finally meet in real life. Garry told her mother Sonia all about Brandon. The family computer was in the living room of the Ryan house, so Sonia could monitor the internet use. Sometimes, seeing the conversations between Garry and Brandon, Sonia did not see anything untoward or inappropriate. Garry's 15th birthday was approaching and she invited Brandon to her party which she was having at her house. Brandon told Garry he would be in the US visiting family at that time. Garry was devastated. Brandon told Garry his father Shane would be passing through South Australia for his work, and either Brandon asked him to drop something off or he offered to drop something off. I've seen both accounts in different articles, etc. But it really doesn't matter which it was, and you will soon find out why. So, let's say Brandon asked Shane to drop off the presents he had gotten Garry for her birthday. Garry had spoken to Shane a couple of times through his MySpace account. As she saw a future with Brandon, she wanted to get to know his father. Garry told Sonia she would love it if Shane could come by her party to bring Brandon's gifts. Sonia was hesitant at first, but after talking to Shane on the phone and thinking he sounded pretty normal, Shane told her he was an ex-SES commander, SES stands for State Emergency Services, and now worked security, and he would love to meet Garry and drop off his son's gifts. Sonia insisted they meet in a public place before the party, Sonia and Shane that is, and they met in the main street of Stirling. He was dressed in a security uniform, and when Sonia asked to see his ID, he showed her a security card. With peace of mind, Sonia agreed to let Shane come to Garry's party and even let Shane stay in the family home during his time in South Australia. A few days before Carly's party, Shane took Carly to the Rundle Mall for a shopping trip. The Rundle Mall is in the centre of the city of Adelaide in South Australia. He bought Carly anything she wanted, from shoes and bags, but he also made unsuitable purchases, including a corset, underwear and fancy dress costumes. One such costume being a nurse. The night of Carly's party finally arrived, and it is then that Shane started to act strange. Carly was talking to an ex-boyfriend, and Shane became visibly annoyed. He told Carly he had called Brandon about her behaviour and that Brandon was not happy. Being young and with a lack of life experience, Carly agreed not to speak to her ex again. Other teens at the party labelled Shane as creepy. One heard him say to Carly, "I love you, I'll never let anything happen to you." But Carly just brushed the comments aside because she desperately wanted to be a part of Brandon's life. After the party, Sonia walked past Carly's bedroom and was shocked to see Shane laying on Carly's bed whilst Carly slept. He was fully clothed and on top of the bed sheets, but understandably Sonia was enraged and kicked him out of the house, telling him never to come back or try to contact Carly. If he did, she would call the police. Carly was worried about how this incident would affect her relationship with Brandon. But when Sonia learned that Brandon's birthday presents were sexy lingerie and a nurse's outfit, she took Carly's phone away and briefly cut off the internet. What Sonia did not know, however, was when she was at work during the day, Carly was making contact with Brandon via the landline or home phone. On the 19th of February 2007, Carly told Sonia that she was going for a sleepover with her friends. They were meeting in the city and she would spend the night with them. Carly left the house at about 4 p.m, giving her mum 3 or 4 hugs that day, and she skipped out the door yelling, "I love you, Mum." These were the last words Sonia would ever hear from Carly. On the 20th of February of 2007, Sonia received a phone call from someone who had found a purse with her contact details in it. The purse was Carly's and was found in a suburb that Sonia had never known Carly to have visited. Sonia tried calling Carly's mobile, but Carly did not answer, so she asked Carly's friends, who said they had not seen Carly. Sonia then found out that no sleepover had happened. Sonia called the police and told them that Carly was missing. At about 6 a.m. that same morning, a girl's body was found floating face down in shallow water at a secluded beach at Port Elliot, a town in eastern South Australia, by a local resident named Kim Gordon, who got help to get the body out of the water and called an ambulance. But attempts to resuscitate were in vain. It was too late. The girl was already dead. There was no ID found on or around the body. An autopsy showed the cause of death as drowning. There were injuries to her face. She had been sexually assaulted and had 19 different injuries, including 6 to 8 blows to the head. Police linked this girl on the beach with Sonia's missing persons report, and Sonia had to go and identify the girl found, which was Carly. Police looked at security footage from the day Carly went missing and eventually found footage on the 19th of Carly in and around Victor Harbour with 2 men. First they were seen at the Crown Hotel, then at a fish and chip shop, then later at a Subway. At around 8:30 p.m. on the 19th of February of 2007, 2 witnesses reported seeing Carly at Port Elliot Beach with 2 men, one young and one older. A powder blue sedan with Victorian number plates the man was seen driving led police to Garry Francis Newman, a 48-year-old divorced father of 3 living in the Mornington Peninsula, which is southeast of Melbourne, Victoria. When police arrived at Newman's home on the 2nd of March 2007, they found him logged into his computer, his username, Brandon Kane, and he was talking to a 14-year-old girl from Perth, WA. Police raided the home and Newman was arrested, as well as Newman's 17-year-old son, Stephen Newman. At the time, both of their identities were suppressed. Garry Newman had created the character of Brandon Kane and had spent 18 months grooming Carly online, making her fall in love with Brandon using all he had learned about Carly from her online profiles. Newman had also posed as Brandon's father, Shane. It had been Newman who attended Carly's 15th birthday party. The security ID card he had shown to Sonia was revealed to be fake. Newman had gone as far as sewing a security emblem onto a shirt. When Sonia had thrown him out of her home, Newman was incensed and vowed to return to South Australia to fix Carly up. He kept up the Brandon pretense and continued his contact with Carly. Somehow Newman managed to convince his 17-year-old son Stephen to go with him when he returned to South Australia and used his Brandon font to lure Carly to her death. He convinced Carly not to tell her mother about the meeting because he told her his dad Shane would be there and therefore Sonia would not allow Carly to go. Carly met up with Newman and his son posing as Shane and Brandon. They eventually took Carly to the secluded Port Elliot beach, where Garry Newman made advances towards Carly. She got up to leave and Newman then attacked her from behind, possibly using a blunt object or his fists. He pushed her face into the sand, trying to suffocate her, before callously throwing Carly's body into the ocean. Using Carly's mobile phone, Newman texts Sonia saying, "I'm okay, everything's good." It is up for debate as to how far Stephen's role in this went. Sand found on both men's footwear matched sand from Elliot's beach, and the witnesses who placed Carly there with two men, one young and one older. In late 2009, a trial ensued in the Adelaide Supreme Court. The trial lasted for 3 months. During testimony, Garry Newman tried to place the blame onto his son Stephen, saying he had admitted to the Brandon online character and Stephen had been the one talking to Carly. Newman also said he had offered Carly a lift home on the night she had died, but Carly refused, and that when he left Carly and Stephen, Carly was alive. Newman's oldest son testified against his father, telling the court that after his father's return from South Australia, he vowed to return and fix Carly up, but at the time he did not think his dad was being serious. He also said that after Carly's death, his dad had bruises on his knuckles. Stephen denied any involvement in Carly's death but did admit to hiding the crime. When the police raided Newman's house, a notebook was found which held details of over 200 online personas, along with details of other attempts at grooming girls, both in Australia and in other countries. It was disclosed that Newman had a lengthy history of grooming and predatory behaviour. He had even given a 13-year-old girl alcohol, got her drunk and attempted to indecently assault her. This level of online grooming, Newman grooming Carly, was relatively new in Australia, and as such, Carly's case is considered to be the first case of an online predator grooming, meeting and murdering his victim. I don't think that is actually 100% correct, but it did lead to Carly's Law, which was passed on the 23rd of June of 2017, which allows law enforcement agencies to take action against predators sooner and with significant consequences. Carly's Law states that it is a crime for an adult to use a carriage service, a service for carrying communications by means of guided and or unguided electromagnetic energy, to commit an act in preparation for or planning to cause harm to or engage in or procure sexual activity with a minor. This includes those who misrepresent their age. On the 21st of January of 2010, Garry Newman was found guilty of Carly's murder. He was sentenced to life in prison with a non-parole period of 29 years, and the suppression of his identity was lifted. Stephen Newman's name was not released at the time due to his age, but he was acquitted of all charges. However, he was later charged with the rape of another teen girl and sentenced to 3 years. Obviously, questions surrounding his involvement in Carly's murder arose after this. Sonia Ryan went on to help set up the Carly Ryan Foundation, a non-profit charity to promote internet safety. This helped pass Carly's law, and they also made a phone app called Thread, which allows the user to send their location to chosen contacts as well as emergency services if they are in danger. This is a free app in Australia, and they are trying to raise funds to make the app international. So that is the case for today. Thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you have a great day. I will try and get another one done really soon. A like and subscribe would make you pretty amazing. And yeah, bye.